Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We're taking you inside the World Meat Congress, the premier gathering of meat and livestock production experts from around the globe, plus a visit to the Beef Improvement Federation's 50th annual convention.
Now, from the Denver headquarters of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, it's NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. International demand for U.S. beef remains strong, and this year's export market is running well ahead of last year's pace. Over the years, exports have become critical. Not only did the success of the U.S. beef industry, but all of U.S. agriculture. As you can imagine, trade was a hot topic at the recent World Meat Congress in Dallas, Texas. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue was a keynote speaker at that event and talked about how trade not only benefits U.S. farmers and ranchers, but consumers all around the globe.
Our choices literally mean life or death to millions of people. 95% of the consumers in the world, as you know, live outside the boundaries of the U.S. Trade is important to get that agriculture. It's also vital to feeding the people of the world. I believe sincerely that the best humanitarian policy to feed the world is free trade. I'm doing all I can to educate policymakers in D.C. and overseas about the importance of agriculture to our trade politics and to feed the world. Agricultural trade is critical for the U.S. farm sector and the American economy. In 2017, U.S. exports of food and farm products totaled $138.4 billion, up from $134.7 billion in 2016. By all predictions, it looks like we're on for another record year this coming year.
Joining us now from NCBA's Washington, D.C. office is Kent Bacchus, Director of International Trade and Market Access. Thanks for joining us, Kent.
Happy to be here.
Now, we just heard Sonny Perdue discuss the value of exports to all of U.S. agriculture. Can you explain what trade means specifically to the beef industry?
Well, trade's very important to the U.S. beef industry. About 85% of what we produce is for American consumers. It's for the domestic market. The United States is still the best market in the world to sell beef, and we own that market. But we still have the remaining 15% of what we produce that we need to sell, and we need to sell at a premium. The best way for us to do that is to export that product. So we have found that countries like Japan and Korea are really good markets for rounds and for tongues. We've also found that Mexico is a great export market as well. So when we look at the opportunities in Latin America and in Asia to sell a lot of products that Americans don't want, that's important to us. And exports allow us to build in about $300 per head into the value of each fed animal. So we're going to continue to push for more market access because we would like for that percentage to grow. We want to see better profit margins for our cow-calf producers, our feeders, and every segment of the production sector.
Kent, you were at the World Meat Congress. What kind of conversations did you have with other people there?
Well, the World Meat Congress is an important meeting for us because it allows us to engage directly with producers and governments from all over the world. We talk a lot about trade, but we also discuss important issues like antimicrobial resistance. We also discussed sustainability and environmental factors as well. At the end of the day, producers all over the world want to be able to pass on their production practices to the next generation. And while we all have competing interests, we all have similar problems. And the World Meat Congress is an area for us to engage together, find ways that we can work together to address these problems and make it more successful for all the global beef production.
You deal with trade and market access issues on a daily basis. Can you give us some inside scoop on what we should expect ahead?
Well, I think that there's no question that trade policy in Washington, D.C. is an exciting time right now. It's a little uncertain as to where the administration is wanting to go with trade policy. We've seen a lot of attention focused on tariffs and on retaliation. What many would refer to as a lose-lose approach to trade policy, where in the past we've looked at free trade agreements. So we're hopeful that the administration is going to make good on the promises of securing bilateral trade deals like a trade deal with the Japanese, our biggest export market. But right now we're still trying to find a path forward on NAFTA. We're dealing with a fallout of agriculture being on the receiving end of retaliatory tariffs from China and from Europe and from Canada. And until we can get past those issues, it's going to be hard to really find any beneficial trade policy for the U.S. beef industry moving forward.
So Kent, what can our viewers do to help you and NCBA with these efforts?
You know, a lot of times when people talk about trade, they just look at numbers. And what they need to do is look at faces. Yeah, your face, the face of the producer, is the one that our elected officials in Washington need to remember, that President Trump and his team need to remember, because the decisions that are made here inside the Beltway affect the entire world, but more importantly, they affect our farmers and ranchers all across rural America. And if we want America to be great again, and we want rural America to be strong, we have to have export markets. We have to have some sound trade principles in place. We need to have market-based, science-based trade. We need the administration to continue to push for those changes that'll help us be competitive in the long run. Because the last thing we want is for the government to have more intervention into our lives. Where we need the government to intervene is to open markets to other countries and let us capitalize on that foreign market demand for U.S. beef.
Thanks, Kent, for your insights. Now, we've mentioned the World Meat Congress a couple of times already, but what exactly was this event and why was it important? In fact, it was only fitting that as trade was dominating national headlines, industry leaders from around the world were gathering in Dallas, Texas to discuss global opportunities for red meat. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter has more on this international meeting.
The World Meat Congress and the International Meat Secretariat is a very trade progressive organization. It was founded on the principles of fostering trade. So the theme of this Congress today is trusting in trade. And we believe that trade is very, very important. It's very critical to the livelihood of not only people in the United States, but people from throughout the world.
We can feed everyone by free and open trade. I know you're for that. The nations represented here can increase production. We can help developing nations increase their production as well. However, producing more will only help if it's accompanied by a free and open and fair distribution system. We must get that production to the mouths of people.
With that challenge from Secretary Perdue, the 22nd World Meat Congress began. This biannual event brings together industry experts from around the world to advance the global trade of red meat.
The World Meat Congress, it's the largest global organization that represents producers and the meat industry, in all countries. So this is really an area where every organization that is producing beef can get together and talk about issues or concerns that are affecting not only them, but other countries as well.
Our presence here in Dallas is a real sign of the integrated meat industry in North America. The World Meat Conference is such an important event for the international meat industry. Why? Because the red meat sector is vital to our economies.
Just association with all the different people here, it's amazing. You walk around, you see people from all over not just the United States, but all over the world. And the good thing about you here, I'm talking about business. They're trading, wanting to do trade to get our products moved overseas, and that's what we're here about, trying to get the exports fired up.
Sessions at the World Meat Congress focused on the challenges of meeting growing consumer demand through the use of science and technology and increasing trade between countries.
All commodities need export markets to broaden and expand and maintain our global markets and our global pricing.
We have demand around the world for U.S. beef, and we have people who live outside of our borders. That's a lot of people, and a lot of people who will enjoy eating our beef. They can get lean beef from other places, but the choice and prime beef that we produce is a desired product, and so that's what we have to offer.
More than ever, trade is important to keep us healthy and viable as an industry for beef and cattle, and so we're taking that opportunity to have those relationships with our counterparts across the world.
This premier gathering of the global meat industry held this year in the United States also provided opportunities to highlight U.S. beef.
It's amazing to see all of these different people coming in, and they're all involved in red meat. They're passionate about what we do on a day-to-day basis. They have a genuine interest in wanting to learn how we do things and try to learn from us, and so that's been really neat to see.
Here at the World Meat Congress, we at the Federation of State Beef Councils, as a board of directors, wanted to think about how we could honor and represent every beef producer across the United States. And to do that, we chose to have a little tasting and seminar with some key meat buyers from around the world. And we're going to tell them what typical production practices are like on farms, ranches, feed yards, and even through the packing sector in the United States. We're going to let them taste some product that was developed. The recipes were developed in our Culinary Innovation Center in Denver. And we're going to assure them that they will continue to always get safe and delicious product when they purchase U.S. beef.
Although not all the attendees spoke the same language, the spirit of cooperation in advancing agricultural trade was clear.
Probably the best value of this conference would be the ability to show why trade is so important to this industry, why trade is so important to this country and around the world. That's how we're going to feed the world in the next few decades. It's through collaboration and working in the same direction.
Yes, my friends, we can. All of us, we can feed the world. The big question is not can we do it, the big question is will we, as a global agricultural community, will we do it? Will we do right and feed everyone?
Reporting from the World Meat Congress in Dallas, Texas, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
The best way to stay up to date on trade and market issues is by becoming a member of NCBA. You'll receive the members-only Beltway Beef newsletter, a weekly update straight from Washington, D.C. that gives you the latest information on the key policy initiatives that will impact your business. To get the Beltway Beef newsletter and other exclusive members-only benefits, join NCBA by calling 1-866-233-3872, or you can visit the website ncba.org. Still ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll visit the Beef Improvement Federation's annual convention and show you how this group is working to develop programs that benefit all segments of the beef industry. Plus, a look at one of the many ways NCBA is educating the next generation of beef industry leaders. Stay with us.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Beringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more.
Welcome back. The Beef Improvement Federation has spent the past 5 decades working to enhance the beef industry. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brad Bulla takes us inside their 50th annual convention for a closer look at this valuable organization.
Over 600 cattle breeders, scientists, and beef producers gathered in Loveland, Colorado for the golden anniversary of the Beef Improvement Federation, or BIF, to learn about the latest advancements in research that will continue to improve beef cattle genetics.
So the Beef Improvement Federation is an organization started in 1968, and it is an organization designed to help bring research, extension, and beef production together to be the best at using the science and technology to produce the best cattle possible.
Well, I've been coming for 20 years, give or take, and to me, the people that are here at BIF are truly the movers and shakers, the ones that have their ear to the ground and what it's going to take to be successful in the future.
The annual BIF Symposium is focused on the role genetics play in improving production efficiencies and, in turn, bringing that information to producers of all sizes.
Genetic improvement today, in my opinion, is more accessible for producers small and large than it ever has been before due to the technology that's there. The opportunity to genomic test cattle gives a small producer who has a small number of cattle to be able to be on the same playing field as someone who has 1,000 cows. This way they can have the very best genetics possible, allow them to market the very best animals to compete on that level.
All producers can use genetics to improve their herd. They don't have the ability to change their environment. So they have to grow their herd to fit their environment, but they can use those genetics to make those cattle fit their environment.
Those gathered at the meeting say they believe BIF will continue to play an important role over the next 50 years, especially with the consumer-driven issues the beef industry faces every day.
So in today's world, the consumer drives the business, and ultimately what makes them happy we know is a high-quality product that's safe and sustainable. And so it's important for cow-calf producers and beef producers all around to make those genetic improvements to meet those demands going forward into the future.
So if we think about BIF's role in terms of helping advance the genetic merit of essentially all cattle in the United States, that is so key for sustainability. But we also had to keep our social license to operate, right? And showing what we do, documenting what we do to show progress over time in terms of being sustainable, that is such a key part of what BIF can help with, what our whole industry can help with in terms of reporting that information back out.
And as the Beef Improvement Federation looks to the future, it will be important to encourage the next generation of animal geneticists to get involved.
We've made it an emphasis to encourage more young producers to come. And that's been exciting to see how many young people we have coming to this meeting. They are our future. They're the ones that are going to make the big decisions and the big steps as we make even greater advancements in the future.
The need to feed people and the need for beef production continues, whether or not there are people there to do it. And so I think it's incredibly important that we're encouraging young producers, as well as young scientists at universities, to be involved in beef production. I think that's really what BIF provides opportunity for.
From Colorado, I'm Brad Bullafor, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, if you're looking for details on the Beef Improvement Federation, including how you can join, visit the website beefimprovement.org. And we're here at the 50th anniversary Beef Improvement Federation Convention here in Loveland, Colorado. And with me now is Dr. Kent Anderson with Zoetis Genetics Technical Services. Dr. Anderson, you've been coming to the Beef Improvement Federation meeting for a long while. Tell us a little bit about what BIF is and the significance of this anniversary.
Sure, Kevin. It's the 50th anniversary, can you believe it? I think I went to my first BIF in 1985 when I began graduate school here at Colorado State. And just over the years, I don't think I've missed very many, if any at all. It's just a great place to meet and exchange ideas, and BIF, of course, has led in the development of guidelines for all the different breed associations as it relates to their performance program and integration into the best possible predictions that we can make for performance in beef cattle. And so it's really been a privilege to interact with this group and make many great friends, and at the same time learn a lot and try to advance the technology.
And of course, you're here representing Zoetis Genetics now. Tell us a little bit about Zoetis' role in the convention.
Well, for a number of years now, Zoetis has been pleased to be a patron sponsor and to support it. BIF really deals with integrating innovations into our cattle evaluation systems. And one of our core values at Zoetis, of course, is an innovation company to develop new tools for cattlemen to be more efficient across the spectrum of animal health and treatment and prediction and detection. And so it's a really good fit for our core value to be involved and to support BIF.
One of the things I'm always so impressed with this conference is just the amount of new ideas and new technologies that are brought forth to the industry here. And I understand that this year Zoetis has some very important announcements. Tell us about what you're introducing.
Yeah, we're excited. Later today we'll be announcing a new genotyping platform for Angus from Zoetis. It was built to contain the markers that Angus Genetics Inc. has identified as being especially informative in Angus cattle. Again, and that's with the future in mind to drive the accuracy of genomic enhanced EPDs and indexes to just make selection decisions at the commercial and the seed stock level more dependable for prescribed purposes.
Fantastic. And I know you're on the front edge of some other exciting innovations. Do you mind telling us what we might expect from Zoetis over the next several years?
Yeah, we're really delighted in the dairy space to have sequenced a Holstein genome. And that's, of course, leading development of new traits. Earlier this year, we launched calf wellness traits, and that was on the heels of cow wellness trait predictions. And so we're also pleased to share that we're in the midst of developing an Angus reference genome. And we think that will fuel future genotyping platforms and identification of markers that are informative for not only traditional traits, but also new and more economically relevant traits in the future.
Absolutely amazing. It is very exciting to think what we might be able to accomplish in the next 10 years, isn't it?
That it is.
Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll be back with more Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this.
Say goodbye to your toughest pasture and rangeland weeds for good, because one product offers season-long control, handles the widest spectrum of broadleaf weeds, and clears the way for increased forage with greater grazing flexibility. So you get more beef per acre at a cost that can't be beat. It's Grazon Next HL herbicide, and if it's in your pastures, plain and simple, weeds won't be.
Each year, future beef industry leaders from across the country meet in Denver to participate in the Young Cattlemen's Conference, or YCC. Organized and hosted by NCBA, YCC participants travel from Denver to Chicago and on to Washington, D.C., learning about each segment of the beef industry along the way. Russell Nemitz has a look at one of the stops on this tour.
NCBA's Young Cattlemen's Conference is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience for beef producers from all across the country, giving them a chance to see all aspects of the U.S. beef industry and the beef production chain as it reaches all the way to the consumer.
The Young Cattlemen's Conference is a very engaging group of individuals from across the country, from Hawaii to California, all the way to Virginia. It's a really exciting group to be around. You get to see the challenges everybody faces, but also the successes they see. And then we look at the industry and observe it from one end to the other.
One highlight of the annual tour is a visit to McDonald's home office. This year's group had the good luck of being in town the day McDonald's opened the doors on their new world headquarters in downtown Chicago.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, first group in here. Our grand opening is actually today, so it's great to interact with the industry as well as younger people who want to grow the industry. So I think it's a great event and something that we always look forward to doing, connecting with the people who actually bring the food into our supply chains.
We have a group of young people here, a young cattlemen's group here at McDonald's today, and we know that they're the future of our supply chain, and we really want to support them and their efforts to learn and grow.
McDonald's has committed to partnering with U.S. cattle producers because beef is essential to their business.
We're committed to beef. We're committed to sourcing beef, especially here in the U.S. from U.S. farmers. And we're in the business of selling hamburgers, and we want to sell as many as possible. So we want to grow the beef industry, and we want to grow together with ranchers.
You know, we're really partners. We serve 6 billion burgers a year just here in the U.S. And you know, every single cattleman, every single rancher and beef producer here in the U.S. has a stake in where their product goes and how it's sold and how it's showcased, and that's really something we share with them. We love selling great quality beef to our guests, our consumers, and we know that starts at the ranch.
Wanting to keep their supply chain strong, McDonald's has become very involved in working with farmers and ranchers to promote sustainability programs.
McDonald's is committed to sustainability, especially around beef. So beef is our largest item that we purchase, both here in the U.S. and globally. So our goal is to create a beef supply chain that's sustainable, not only for today, but growing on to the future for both the beef industry as well as McDonald's. Our customers ask for our sustainability story, and for us to have a story, we need to partner with the people who are actually day in and day out producing beef.
McDonald's commitment to beef sustainability is really all about ensuring long-term consumer acceptance of beef as a great protein for the livelihoods of our cattlemen, as well as, you know, for everybody else involved in the beef chain. So, you know, that means taking care of everything related to the people, the animals, and the environment involved in raising great beef.
They have that opportunity to touch as many consumers as we might see in a lifetime, and maybe a day. If they can get out there and get our story in front of those consumers, I think we can educate and maybe get people on our side a little bit more. Maybe give them a greater education, a greater understanding of what we do day to day.
From Chicago, I'm Russell Nimitz for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll show you how John Deere equipment is making a difference for one South Carolina operation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
Welcome back. In the cattle business, you'll often find farms or ranches that are being run by the 4th or 5th generation. Of course, those long family traditions have to begin somewhere and with someone. Along those lines, we found one South Carolina husband and wife team who built their Angus seed stock operation together as the 1st generation on the land. Brian Baxter has more on how they're working to continue growing their farm while adding the 2nd generation into the business.
For more than 20 years, Kevin and Lydia Jan have worked side by side to grow their family, their farm, and their cattle business.
Jan Family Farms is a 1st generation beef cattle seed stock operation located here in west central South Carolina. It's an operation that my wife and I went out on our own in 1996 after having managed a purebred Angus operation.
Kevin and I got married straight out of college. We both got degrees in animal science, and we went and managed a small Angus operation for about 7 years. And then in 1996, we started chasing our dream, and the primary thing that we do is produce seed stock or Angus bulls. And we have 2 sales here a year, one in February and one in October, and we'll sell about 450 bulls through those 2 sales. So we're all about growing grass and growing bulls.
And it's an operation in which our 3 children have grown up with, and through the years they've helped build the operation and grow the operation, and they went off to school, and then they've all come back, bringing 2 spouses with them. So today we're Lydia and I, our 3 children, and a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law here raising purebred Angus.
On Jan Family Farms today, you might find daughter Sally and her husband Reed checking on cattle. Middle son Drake could be heading to the field with a baler, and the youngest, Corbin, works primarily with the crops and the haying equipment.
We've got to see firsthand, you know, what all has gone into building what we have here, and have helped, you know, right there alongside of our parents, making it what it is today. So it was kind of a no-brainer to come back, because I guess we have a lot of, it's called sweat equity, is that right? That's what we have invested here, so that's probably the main reason all three of us decided to come home and I guess follow in the parents' footsteps.
My brothers, I feel like, always knew they wanted to come back to the farm, and I wasn't really sure throughout college, and college was a good thing for me because it made me realize that I do enjoy being outside, being with the cattle, and really enjoyed being home and being in our community and that sort of thing. So it's been really, I would say, unique that all of us have been able to come back to the farm.
As the family members supported by the farm have grown, the Jans have expanded. They added pecan production to the farm, and their daughter-in-law manages a retail store called the Nut House, selling what they grow, as well as freezer beef from Jan family farms. Even so, top-quality Angus bulls and the forage those cattle need remain the foundation of their farm.
Jan Family Farms is a grass operation. We're a forage-based operation. We try to take advantage of our long growing season here in the southeast. Our ability to grow lots of different forages through lots of different times of the year. Really, we're grass farmers, and we use beef cattle to harvest our crop. Our cattle rely very heavily on forages, and we try to produce high-quality forages, and we also try to use grazing management in ways in which we can allow our cattle to best utilize those high-quality forages.
Over time, the Jans have worked to add higher capacity machinery and to increase their ability to get hay and forage crops cut and out of the field as quickly as possible.
To us, quality of hay is, obviously about having your fertility and your grass right, but it's as much about timing as it is anything. Getting it cut and baled in the right timing and getting it in the plastic wrapped as soon as you can.
So we bale hay with a 560M round baler that has the pre-cut knives in it as well as the bale accumulator on the back. It's a very efficient hay baler that allows us to get in there and to make a high quality product in a timely fashion. We bale all types of grasses, and this baler is very versatile and allows us to do just whatever the job is, this baler can handle it. The bale accumulator has been a great asset. It's the first one we've had, and it has really speed us up on the when we do balage.
We've been really pleased with John Deere balers just from, number one, the bale they put up. We feel like they put up a nice, big, neat, tight bale, a bale that will stand up. We've been very pleased with the service that we've gotten out of our balers.
Since the Jans can't afford downtime, they work closely with Blanchard Equipment in their hometown of Ridge Spring to make sure they have tractors and balers that are ready to go when it's time to make hay.
Yes, uptime's a big thing. If John Deere didn't have a quality product, a lot of people wouldn't be buying it. But they like the ability that our machine does work very well. They're able to get parts, able to get service, and we do have good reliability.
So we've been doing business, and myself personally, with the Jans for over 20-something years since they've moved into here and started farming. And we see them on a regular basis. They're an integral part of our community, and we look forward for a long future with them.
With the second generation back and working to build a future together, it's clear the Jan family still has the fire to do what they love and keep their farm sustainable for today and tomorrow.
I hope we can keep trucking right on like we are. I think it was my parents' goal whenever they came here to build something that we could come home to, and I think that I can speak for my siblings and I that we're the same way. We want to keep growing it so that if one day if I have children and they want to come back here, they can.
I think I really realized it in college, but since the day I was born, I was able to look out my window and see black cattle. It was just something I kind of always took for granted growing up. It was more just something we did. It wasn't really a choice for us, but when I did have the choice, I think that's whenever my real love for raising cattle really came into effect.
I absolutely enjoy raising cattle. I feel like one of the luckiest guys in the world that I get to wake up every day and raise cattle, and it's something that I don't take very lightly. It's truly a blessing to get to do it.
To us, that's part of the definition of sustainability, is being able to have a profitable operation that you can pass down to the next generation to make it better for the future and the next generation that's coming along. So that's pretty cool for us.
Pretty cool indeed. At Yon Family Farms in Ridge Springs, South Carolina, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you'd like to learn more about how tractors and hay equipment from John Deere can bring value to your farm or ranch, visit the website johndeere.com. And don't forget, John Deere is adding more value to your NCBA membership by offering special discounts on riding lawn equipment, compact utility tractors, and much more. Deere is just one of many companies offering exclusive deals. Become a member today by calling 1-866-233-3872, or you can visit the website ncba.org. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll see what life is like in Florida for NCBA officer Marty Smith. Plus, we'll tell you about an important event coming up that will help set the course for the beef industry for the coming year. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
No matter what job I've got to do, my John Deere 5E tractor can do it all. Whether I'm cutting, moving feed, or building a fence. Using my 5E means my work gets done faster at a price I can afford, and that works for me.
NCBA is a grassroots organization led by producers who volunteer their time and effort to ensure the beef business remains strong and sustainable. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck has more on one Florida cattleman whose family has a long history of service to our industry.
Marty Smith has deep ties to this part of north central Florida. The Smith Brothers operation has been in his family for more than 150 years, and Marty is the fifth generation to live and work on this land.
This ranch has been in my family since 1850. My family first came here, the ancestors came here from South Carolina, settled this area, and this part of Florida has had cattle on it dating back to around 1521 when Ponce de Leon first came here. So we've had cattle on this property for over almost now 500 years.
The Smith family's long history in the Sunshine State is also on display at this little one-room church on their property. It was built in 1852 by Marty's great-grandfather and is one of the oldest Methodist churches in Florida.
He sawed the lumber from his own trees. He cut the trees down, sawed the lumber, he built the building, he built the pews. It was just one of those things that he wanted to do, and he did. He built a new church building there. We still use that church. We have annual and semi-annual services there, and we invite all of the community to come worship with us. We also have the cemetery. It dates also back to the 1850s, and we keep that up. And it's not just our family, but I guess our family is the one that's kept it going all these years.
Smith Brothers is a cow-calf operation that retains ownership through feedlots in Texas, Kansas, and Iowa. Marty and his family are proud of the Brahmin-influenced cattle they raise and the high-quality beef they produce for consumers.
They adapt very well to the heat, to the humidity, and to the insects, and they just fit this country. That's part of the history of Florida, part of what we still do. However, probably the biggest thing that people don't realize is the quality type beef that we can produce still using those Brahmin genetics. And that's something we're very proud of here, that we've been able to really do and do well. Raise Brahmin cross cattle that do very well in the feed yards in Texas, but also in Kansas, Iowa, all through the country.
Properly managing their operations' resources has always been a priority for the Smith family, and one of the main reasons they've been able to stay in business for so long.
We're progressive because we have to be. When you're in a state with over now approaching 20 million people and limited land and limited water, even though we get 60 inches of rain, we still don't have water supply to necessarily take care of everybody's demands. Facing those challenges and remaining in production agriculture, whether it's cattle or farming or anything, is just a huge challenge in today's world. In order to meet that challenge, those of us that choose to stay and do this as opposed to selling out to developers, you got to be progressive. If you're not taking every advantage that you can, if you're not doing the very best job that you can do, you're not going to last here.
Beef industry advocacy is not new to the Smith family. Marty's mom, Joanne, was the first female president of the National Cattlemen Association and played a key role in developing the beef checkoff program. As for Marty, he's a past president of the Florida Cattlemen's Association and has served in multiple leadership roles with NCBA.
It was one of those things where we got called on to do a job, we agreed to do it when we enjoyed doing it. We felt like we were able to contribute something back to our community, but to our industry. So it's been a long involvement, something I've enjoyed very much. Most of all, enjoy the people that I've got to meet from all over the country and learn so much about not only the cattle industry, but just the greatest people in the world.
Marty is a believer in the value of cattlemen joining together and knows that NCBA can play an important role in unifying the beef industry.
The opportunity is there. I want to convince people that this is a good place for them to spend their volunteer time, that we are able to really do some great things, both in Washington, but also throughout the world with promoting beef and protecting the economic and financial interest of cattle producers everywhere.
From Wacahootie, Florida, I'm Matt Fleck, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
One great reason to become an NCBA member is the chance to read the National Cattleman. It's the official publication of NCBA and provides timely news and articles about the issues and events affecting the beef industry. A subscription is included free of charge when you become a member. Just call 1-866-233-3872, or you can visit the website ncba.org. Still ahead, it's time for a visit with our good friend Baxter Black. Plus, we'll talk about the cattle industry summer business meeting and why this gathering is so important to beef producers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're connected with the beef cattle business, then you should like the NCBA page on Facebook. The NCBA Facebook page shares photos, news, and valuable information about the beef cattle industry. You can also follow the NCBA Twitter feed at BeefUSA. So stay in touch with NCBA on Facebook and Twitter.
Did you know that Prefert makes over 1,000 different farm, ranch, and rodeo items? And now, thanks to Prefert Direct, it's easier than ever before to get access to every item Prefert makes delivered direct to your local dealer. For more information about Prefert Direct, visit us at Prefert.com. Prefert, America's #1 name in farm, ranch, and rodeo.
When a new calf hits the ground, his clock starts ticking. A belly full of colostrum gives him his best odds, but if he doesn't get any, his time starts running out. That's when you grab a bag of Oxford Ag Colostrum in their patented feeding system. Fill them with warm water, shake it to mix, feed it with a tube or nipple, and you are done. No bucket, no bottle, no mess, and right on time. Get yours at oxfordag.com. Costs less than a dead calf.
The Lord spoke to the heavy hearts that stood with hats in hand. Your sadness pains me deeply, and I know you'll miss this man. But it's true what you've been hearing. Heaven is a real place, and that's no small consolation. You should use that fact to face the emptiness that his parting left, that seeps into your bones, and draw on it to ease your pain. For he is not alone. You see, all his friends are up here, all his loved ones too. Because it wouldn't be a heaven without each one of you. And heaven for a cowboy is just what you might expect. It's horses that need tuning up and heifers that need checked. It's long rides with a purpose and a code that lights the way. And a satisfying reason to get up every day. It's the ranch he's always dreamed of and never knew he'd find. And if you think about it, you can see it in your mind, him leaning in the saddle with his old hat on his head. Contentment set up on his face like blankets on a bed. And the leather creaks a little as he shifts there in the seat, and the bit chains give a jingle when his pony switches feet. And you somehow get the feeling that he's sitting on a throne. gazing out on paradise, just like it was his own. I can promise you he's happy, though I know you can't pretend you're glad he made the journey. It's too hard to comprehend. The earthly way you look at things can never satisfy your lack of understanding for the answer to the why. So, I offer this small comfort to put your grief to rest. I only take the top hands, 'cause my crew's the very best. And I know it might seem selfish to friends and next of kin, but I needed one more cowboy, and Billy fit right in. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. That was a moving tribute to a good friend. Want to rewatch an episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen or catch up on anything you've missed? Then visit our YouTube page. You'll find all our shows filled with educational segments and producer profiles from all around our country. It's also another chance to see Baxter Black. So check us out on YouTube. NCBA is the cattle industry's oldest and largest national organization, in large part because it remains a grassroots-run association where members come together to set policy positions. Joining me now to talk about this is Kendall Frazier, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Kendall, talk us through how policy actually gets made within NCBA. It's an often confused topic.
NCBA policy starts at the grassroots with county meetings or state affiliate meetings in the summer and fall. They take the policy that advances out of those meetings to our annual cattle industry convention in January. And that at that convention, our committees work on policy, our board then approves it, and that's really interim policy. And then at our summer meeting, we finalize that policy, and then we send it to members in a mail ballot. So that's the process. There's a lot of different hands that touch it. There's a lot of different discussion and debate before it becomes our final process.
Well, as you indicate, that process will be on display next week at the annual summer business meeting right here in Denver. What makes that meeting so special?
It's a business meeting only, and compare that to our annual convention where we have a trade show and some other activity going on. Our summer meeting is really a meeting of our committees and our board of directors, and it really is all business. They come in for a couple of days, consider policy resolutions, talk about current issues that the association is working on, but it's all business.
So give us some insight on what are the key issues that will be discussed next week.
Issues like environmental issues, land use related issues, trade related issues, a lot of discussion in agriculture and the beef industry about trade and how important it is to us, and the administration's strategy on trade. So there'll be a lot of discussion about that. There'll be a lot of discussion about the fake meat issue, some of these alternative proteins that are spawning and growing up around the country and being marketed through channels now. So those would just be some of the issues that we talk about.
So if folks can't make it next week, what would you tell them in terms of getting involved in future summer business meetings and why their participation is so important at any rate?
Well, we welcome the participation from our members in these committee meetings. And to get involved, I would encourage them to go to their state Cattlemen's Association meetings where committees are meeting at the state level. If you're interested in advancing some policy, go to those committee meetings, interact with other committee members, because that's really where our policy comes from.
Fantastic suggestion. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great week next week.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now remember, if you'd like a chance to be part of the policy-making process, start by contacting your state Cattlemen's Association, as Kendall indicated, to find out what policy your state will be discussing at the Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting. This is where policy and direction for NCBA will be set, so make sure you have a say in this process. This year's meeting is set for August 1st through the 4th right here in Denver, Colorado. Visit ncba.org for details on how you can attend. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
There is a new world out there, revealing itself in unpredictable ways. A world that demands more from the land and those who grow, farm, and build on it. This new world calls for the ingenuity to get more out of it, while preserving as much as we can. After all, to stay ahead of tomorrow, we need to be equipped for it today.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest cattle industry organization, working every day to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen and policy updates from Beltway Beef. Plus big discounts from John Deere, Cabela's, and more great partners. Join now. Call 866-233-3872 or sign up online at ncba.org.
We're wrapping up this week's show with legacy photos as we share with you some great shots submitted by our viewers all across the U.S. Let's take a look. Want to see your photo on Cattlemen to Cattlemen? You can submit your favorite shots a couple of ways. Either message them to us on the Cattlemen to Cattlemen Facebook page or email them to c2c@beef.org. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.